Hi and welcome to Bounce Forward. I'm here to help guide you through all the confusing health and fitness info bombarding us every day. I'm using my 20 years in the industry to break it all down, make it make sense, and be effective whilst having some fun along the way. A partner can either make or break your health and fitness journey. If your partner's not being that supportive, if it's not working for you emotionally, practically, logistically, then this is a problem I'm going to solve for you today. I've got Dunn joining me. She's a clinical psychologist, one of my closest friends. And we're going to give you some really simple tips on how to get that support you so desperately need. So I'm really happy and thrilled to invite Dunn onto the pod. Cass, I'm so excited to speak to you today. We've known each other forever. You are the clinical psychologist on TXO. So we go way back from when I started, my own business in health and fitness. You were right there by my side, being like my personal therapist, which I just love. And you're just so helpful, like in everything that you say, everything that you do. You just have this way of breaking it down so that people get it. And I just love that. Now, today I really want to talk to you about how partners can make or break your health journey, right? Have you ever had a partner that didn't support your health and fitness goals or anything that you were doing?
Yeah, I mean, I think not in a deliberate way, like not in an intentional way, but certainly I have had times in my life where I have felt like I'm trying to do something here and you're not being the most helpful. And so I think it's a really important conversation to have because it really can make or break. It can make it so much more challenging to achieve the things that you want in life if the people closest to you are either just not on board or, to the extreme if they're kind of actively sabotaging. But to give people the benefit of the doubt, and certainly in my case, I think it's not so much deliberate sabotage. It's more just like, well, I'm just here doing my own thing and I'm not being fully conscious or considerate of what you're trying to do.
Yes.
And so the communication, I guess, is the really important thing. But on that, I think also if you have a relationship with your partner or your friend or family member or whatever that has been based around certain social behaviors and rituals and you have pizza Tuesday and you have drinks on Friday and that's what you do that's sort of the glue of your relationship, and you start to try to change some of those habits and want to do something that's a little bit different for whatever reason, for your own health and well-being, and then you're kind of breaking the social contract a little bit and people get really uncomfortable with that.
That's so hard. How do you balance that? It's so difficult. And this is something we see that comes up time and time again in the TXO community where people are establishing healthy habits, but then they have fish and chips every Friday night. And how do you manage that? How do you have those conversations? It's really tough.
Well, I think it's helpful, obviously, if your partner gets on board and decides that they kind of want to be a little bit healthier as well. That's the ideal solution, that then you can kind of support each other in that. But if they're less willing, because it's like your goal, not their goal, it's your thing, not their thing.
And it's your timing, not their timing,
Exactly. Then I think it's really important to have the conversation and come up with some compromises. I think just expressing really genuinely what your need is, I think people respond really more positively if you can be really honest about what it is you're trying to do and why it's important to you, as opposed to just getting really kind of angry about it, because it can be really easy to get just frustrated and you're not supporting me and turn it into a bit of like a conflict. As opposed to just being really honest and saying it would be really helpful to me if we could do this differently, and try to find some sort of compromise. Like if you have the fish and chips, but you just bake the chips and have the healthy grilled fish or whatever it is that you choose to do. Like finding a way that you can kind of keep some of those rituals that you might have, but in a way that is, helps you but doesn't completely dismiss their concerns either.
Yeah. So like creating new rituals that the both of you can do that support your goals, that would be helpful.
That That would be helpful. And,
Yeah.
we're talking about health and food and exercise and stuff here, but
Mm.
this goes for anything. Like I can think of times too, and even people that I know where one person's really going ahead in their career and the partner doesn't like it because it means they're spending more time at work, or somebody's trying to really save money because they want to buy a house and the other one just wants to go and buy new toys. And,
Live in the moment. Yeah.
it comes into every area of life and relationships and goals. So it's a
Yeah.
big, it's a big challenging kind of issue for people.
It is. It is. And why would people want to sabotage? Like if you have a partner who loves you, why are they wanting to either sabotage or hold you back? What is it, insecurity? What is that?
Oh, well, I don't know if there's any single answer to that. It's going to be
Yeah.
different for different relationships, but I think there is a little bit of
Yeah.
that change. When you change or when you want to change, the people around you are kind of forced to change or forced to look at themselves and where they're at and what they're doing. People are uncomfortable with change, and we all know that. And if it's self-directed, like if I've decided and I'm really motivated and I'm really inspired and enthusiastic about something, that's great. But we can't expect that everybody else is going to automatically be as motivated and as enthusiastic. And for them, it's just like you're just changing the dynamic. You're just changing the way things have been. There can be a bit of fear, I think.
Yeah.
I think not to be too stereotypical about it, but I think sometimes, even at a subconscious level, if you're going to try and be better, does that mean you're going to end up being too good for me, or you think you're going to be too good for me and grow away from me? And these are kind of honest questions that people have to ask themselves. Because ideally, you want a partner who is, wants you to be the best and wants you to, go for the things that matter to you.
And you really want to be your best around your partner, where I've been in relationships before where I haven't been my healthiest self with that person. And that for me is a big red flag if you are compromising on the things that make you tick to make them happier. And that's when you're like,
for sure.
oh my gosh, I'm sleeping in, I'm not getting into that workout. Or I remember one boyfriend I was dating and I was a pump instructor, and he would always like, oh, just don't go to the class, don't go and teach, stay home with me. He was just so lazy and and I would wag class, and it was just so unhealthy. So what are some of the red flags if you're in a relationship that, you're thinking, okay, this person isn't supporting my goals here? What are some of the biggest red flags?
Well, I think you just highlighted one really important one by asking yourself, am I the best version of myself with this person? Does this person encourage me to be the best that I can be? Because, that's a very personal internal thing that only you know. You might be very comfortable with skipping class, but if you're not and it puts you kind of out of integrity, then that's an issue. I think also, when you raise those issues, I think we always have to be, we can't assume people are mind readers. And when you communicate that this is an issue for me or I don't like this, it's really about the response you get back. How effectively do they listen and hear and then follow through? Because anybody can say, oh, yeah, no, I totally get it. And I'm really sorry about that. And then continue to do the same old thing, same old, same old. So, it's how much do they listen and show you, but then how much do they demonstrate that they're actually hearing you?
That's really hard to communicate as well, Cass. Like, how do you say that? How do you communicate, hey, I've got this goal and you are sabotaging me?
I think you just said it really well.
You reckon? Because
I don't know.
I could never say that. I could never say that. And I have struggled with speaking and using my voice, in relationships like that. So how do you communicate that? How do you G yourself up?
I think, different people are going to be to a different degree, have levels of comfort around expressing their own needs and asserting their own needs. And women, again, to generalize, women tend to struggle to be assertive. They feel like they're being aggressive. They feel like we've sort of been conditioned into a lot of that people-pleasing, accommodating kind of behaviour. So, again, it's a really important skill to learn, to be able to understand that being assertive, and this is something that I tell people all the time, being assertive doesn't mean that you're making your needs more important than anybody else's needs. It means that you're holding your needs as equally important as somebody else's needs, like giving them equal weight. I think so many women feel like I'm upsetting or I'm inconveniencing somebody and I need to keep the peace and I don't want to rock the boat.
Yeah.
But I think if you can really be honest about what matters to you, why it matters to you, and then again, come at those conversations from a place of, this is where I'm at and this is what matters to me, and this is, and ask them, like, so, and how do you feel about that? Or this is what would be really helpful for me is if you could do this, maybe approaching it in the way of what you would like them to offer you in terms of support, instead of that, I don't, you need to stop this, that, anytime you're attacking somebody or not attacking somebody, but kind of anything that's perceived as criticism is going to likely to cause people to be defensive. So the more that you can approach it from that place of, these are my needs, like, what are your needs? And how do we make those two things work together?
Yes.
How do we maintain harmony in this relationship where I can feel like I'm doing the things that matter to me, but while also, recognizing, what this means for you.
Yeah.
How do we strike that balance? And remember, this is all on the premise that this is a healthy relationship. This is not an abusive relationship where you're being, gaslit by somebody who's got some ulterior agenda. That's a whole other conversation.
Yes.
We're just assuming kind of a normal, kind of reasonably healthy couple dynamic here.
Yes. So if you have a supportive partner, what impact can that have on your success of making your goal?
Oh, it makes all the difference. It makes all the difference. Having somebody to support and encourage you, to help maybe keep you a little bit accountable, and who can even kind of do it with you, like get on board with you. I mean, that's the ideal, really.
Yeah.
But even if they're not 100%, if they're sort of at least conscious of it and considerate of it and able to make decisions that are thoughtful of where you're at and what you're trying to do or achieve, that's everything. And it can, I mean, I don't have the research in front of me, but I'm quite sure that it goes a long way to helping you to achieve the things that you want to achieve. I think it's really important though, and I think you and I have had this conversation with members of the TXO community many times. It's like, when you say, my partner isn't supportive or I need more support, it's really important to be clear about what kind of support is that. Do I want you to actually do my goal with me? Is that reasonable? Because maybe it's not their goal. Or do I just want emotional support? If you can lay it out as clearly as possible, it would be really helpful to me if you did this, or, if I am trying not to drink alcohol on the weekdays, could you not ask me to go buy you beers after work? Because I don't want to go into that bottle shop or whatever.
100%.
If this is what I'm trying to do, this is what I would like from you. It could be practical support. It could be, specific things that I would rather you do or don't do, or it could just be, just encourage me, if I'm having a down day, remind me of what it is that I'm after and what I'm trying to achieve and why I'm trying to achieve it, instead of just saying, oh, forget about it. You deserve the pizza night, or you've worked so hard, by actually saying to somebody, that's not helpful. It's really I really need you to help me to stay, stick to what I'm trying to achieve.
And it would be helpful to have these conversations at the outset of when you set these goals, I reckon. Like, it's sort of like when you start doing it, you sort of like wading through it. You should really set out these conversations at the beginning. Okay, I want to lose weight. I want to get fitter. I'm going to try and find some time with the kids crawling around. Could you maybe look after them for 20 minutes whilst I do a workout at home?
Yes.
Like, start from the beginning. I always have people approach me and ask, hey, what do I do now? My partner's not supporting me. And I'm like 8 weeks in. And I think, maybe we should have had a chat before, It's really tough.
maybe that should be like one of the steps, like right at the outset is what is it that you want to achieve? Let's get specific about the goal. And I mean, I always ask this of coaching clients too. So what is it that you need? Like, what are the resources you need to have around you and available to you for you to be able to do this thing? You know, what are the physical things?
Yeah.
What's the emotional support? Like, who are the people? And you know, how can you kind of set that up at the beginning to give yourself the best chance
Who
of
are
success?
the people? That is it. And finding your people is so hard, Cass. Do you have any tips on how to find your people? Like, not just partners in life, but if you've got a goal, how do you find your people to support that?
Your community is a good one. Let's face it. Like the TXO community, so many people have met, like they're friends for life inside that community. And even an online community like that can be really helpful, especially if the people in your real life are maybe they don't get it, they don't know why you're doing what you're doing, but they've got the best of intentions. But they tell you, there's nothing wrong with you. Like, what do you mean you need? You know, all of that sort of stuff that people say with the best of intentions. So finding the people who have got similar sort of goals and values and motivations, and it could be online, it could be locally. There's loads of people also who find a community in something like Parkrun or, you know, just local events
gyms.
and things like that, local gyms. And, you know, depending on what your goal is and what it is that you're out to achieve, finding those people who get it. You know, that is so important to have people available to you who kind of they get where you're at, and you don't need to explain it. You don't need to spell it out to them. Yeah. They just understand.
It's the most important thing, I think, in setting a goal and achieving that goal. So thank you, Cass. They're fantastic tips. And I really urge anyone who has a health and fitness goal to have those hard discussions at the beginning. You know, have the guts to have those discussions. It'll help you move forward in the best way.
100%.
Gosh, I always love chatting to Cass. Her words of wisdom have kept me sane for over 7 years. And I just love the concept of having these open, honest conversations at the beginning when you're about to start your goal. Not halfway through, not at the end, but clearly stating your needs. This is what I need from you. This is the support that I would love. You know, it's going to get you through. So that's what I took from that conversation. Use your voice. Speak up. Be honest and truthful about it, and your partner will meet you. They will meet you. They want you to be the best version of yourself, so they will support you. Don't be afraid to speak up. I love chatting to Cass, and I love speaking to all of you. So please don't forget to rate and review this podcast. I love reading your reviews, and connect with me on Instagram at tiffhall_xo, or have a look at my TXO app. Cass is there. I'm there. We're on hand in your pocket. Thanks so much for listening to Bounce Forward, and happy days.